Not to dunk on a game that's exploding in popularity, but because when you look under the hype, there's a set of toxic PvP patterns that could kill the game's longevity if left untreated. I dug through community discussion, Steam forums, and news coverage. You'll hear sources sprinkled through this talk. Let's get into the 3 reasons I think Arc Raiders could die. 1. PvP behavior undermines the game's stated loop. 2. Early churn and community fractures are already visible. And 3. The surviving culture will be dominated by hunters, creating a self-reinforcing unhealthy loop. Quick reality check, Arc Raiders launched in massive numbers and attention. Peak concurrent counts hit hundreds of thousands, outlets have reported huge player spikes, and embarked ship into a very crowded extraction shooter scene. That makes this concern urgent. If the game is going to fall, it's not from lack of players today. It's from what players do to the play loop that will chase others away tomorrow. Arc Raiders is built around extraction tension. You run a raid, collect loot, and extract under pressure. That tension only works if risk feels meaningful and fair. The problem? A significant voice in the community is celebrating playstyles that remove the intended loop, camping extraction points, hunting down weakened raiders, and generally maximizing other players' misery rather than engaging the emergent raid extraction gameplay. You'll find dozens of posts and threads describing extraction camping and ratting tactics, with users calling it a camping simulator or a grief fest. Those calls show behavior that turns extraction from a tense gamble into a predictable ambush zone, and that predictability removes the enjoyable tension the game promises. Why does that matter? Because design intention and player practice are different things. If a large chunk of the PvP player base gets their kicks from denying other players fun by repeatedly killing them at lifts, camping spawns, or intentionally grieving, new and casual players won't experience the intended loop. Instead of I risked this, I escaped, I felt triumphant, they get I didn't stand a chance, and nothing I did mattered. That's a death knell for games that rely on player retention by meaningful short loop success. You might say, but the player numbers are astronomical, right? That's true right now. Arc Raiders has recorded massive concurrent peaks and strong launch attention. But community sentiment matters for retention. The forums are already polarized. Some players argue PvP is essential and should be brutal. Others are warning that PvP toxicity will drive out PvE-leaning players. We've seen real reports of players saying they're done with the PvP in threads where people lament corpse-strewn extraction areas and repeat ambushes. Compounding that, the launch period had server instability and compensation events, useful short-term fixes, but signals that friction existed during prime exposure. Together, these are the seeds of churn. Players who get a bad first impression are unlikely to return, and word of mouth then amplifies that departure. Put bluntly, big numbers at launch don't guarantee lasting population if a large cohort finds the core loop hostile, unfair, or simply unenjoyable. Games with massive openings have cratered before because of community toxicity and bad early retention. Arc Raiders has the intention to avoid that fate, but only if devs in the community course correct. This is the most insidious part. If a significant fraction of the player base enjoys hunting players for the sake of denial, then the social composition of the game shifts. Friendly or casual players leaving behind the competitive griefers. That concentration reinforces worse behaviors. Camping becomes standard because there are fewer victims left who will play differently, and new arrivals see camping as the norm, adopt it, and pass it on. The social meta flips from extraction tension to player hunting grind, and that's a fundamentally different game. Several community threads already show communities celebrating the hunt the raider identity, and other threads decrying that same identity as toxic. That polarization predicts a likely outcome. If left to market forces, the community will drift toward the more ruthless playstyles because those players are happiest staying. What that creates is not just an unpleasant experience, it's a design mismatch. The developers' incentives, healthy retention, broad audience clash with a tribe of players who get their fun from destroying that goal. Without strong social tooling, matchmaking, or in-game deterrence, the predator behavior will select itself into dominance. To be clear, PvP is not evil. Some community voices say PvP is the lifeblood. Without hunters, there'd be no tension, no value to loot, and no emergent drama. Those arguments are valid and appear repeatedly in community forums. The issue isn't PvP per se, it's unbalanced PvP that turns the loop into systemic grief and that the devs do not actively counter. If Embark wants to prevent this worst case scenario, 3 moves matter. 1. Tune extraction and spawn structures to reduce high-value camping choke points. 2. Add social and mechanical incentives for non-denial play, temporary true systems, bounties for extraction survivors, anti-camping penalties, and 3. Strengthen onboarding in early match protections so newcomers experience the intended loop before toxic meta sets in. Quick patches, transparent comms, and visible action on grief reports will buy time, but long-term changes to meta incentives are the real cure. Arc Raiders is not doomed by default. It's clear from the headlines and charts that the game can thrive. But the window is narrow, huge initial numbers give it the luxury of choice, and the community conversation shows the exact dynamics that have killed other extraction shooters, extraction camping, polarized player tribes, and early churn. If the devs and community don't act, the math is simple. Casuals leave, predators stay, and what's left is a mirror of the problem that drove people away in the first place. That's how a promising launch becomes a niche, bitter ghost town.